Joe, we're back at it, aren't we?
We're back at it. Yes, indeed.
It's almost as if we don't have anything else to do. We're like, yeah, I mean, whether or not people are watching, we are live, and we are going to just go ahead and do our thing.
We're going to do our thing.
And the thing about podcasting is just kind of weird like that because there's never really a way to know um how many subscribers you have and blah blah blah. I mean, you see the downloads
Right,
in terms of the audio version of it,
right.
and on YouTube or on Twitch you see what you see. But you know I see a lot of people with like, yeah, we're very interactive with our people and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, give me some of your people because you know and
I think we're the show for introverts.
yeah,
Yeah.
I strictly believe that because there are folks that download our show, that listen to our show,
Hmm.
and on YouTube we get some comments here and there, but it's like we know, of course he's gonna start with this shit. You know, it's like we know that they're there, but we we let them be. I
Yeah.
feel like this is the way it is, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
And
I.
so,
I'm an introvert myself. So, hello, introverts. I love you.
hello, introvert. So I think we should go ahead because we have a show that we typically will do like the last week of the previous month, so that people can be aware of what's going to happen.
Yep.
But last week we had to do that thing, right?
That thing we do.
Yeah, we no, we had to talk about the All Stars and things like that. So we couldn't do this one. So today we are actually taking a look at what's coming in the month of May, and I'm excited about a lot of shows. I think the month of April was actually quite good.
It was.
Um, there's some stuff that happened there that I wasn't expecting any of these shows to be as good as they were. So we're gonna review that first, and
Yes.
then we are going to talk about what we're excited for the month of May because I see greatness. I don't know about you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
So what we're gonna do here is that I'm gonna go on ahead and get on started. All right.
It sounds
So
good.
let's do the intro voice wise, and people's gonna just have to watch
Okay. That
us.
sounds good.
Yeah.
This is Kickin and Streamin podcast, a binge watcher's guide to streaming movies, TV series, and stuff. Here are your hosts, Graham and Jocelyn.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Kickin and Streaming podcast. My name is Graham, and with me today, of course, is the very fantastic Jojo. Hello,
Howdy
Jojo.
do. How it be?
Yeah, I love me some How Do You Do. Like I said, I've always been a fan of How Do You Do, but I think I become more of a fan of How Do You Do once I discovered that you actually knew of where to get some memes of the How Do You Do bird. And my first encounter with the How Do You Do bird was one you posted with a little. I think it was a little parrot. Was it a parrot or
It was a
canary or something? It's
yeah.
like, are you just gonna scroll by without saying howdy? And I'm like, yo, I lost it. I absolutely lost it, man. So, how did you come about the Howdy Do bird, Jojo?
I don't know. I would occasionally say howdy do just to be silly, and then I saw the little howdy do bird and was like, yeah, that's me. That's totally me.
Yeah, no,
You
how did
fits
you?
my personality.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's your. What was it? The spirit animal
A spirit
thing?
animal. Yes.
It's a
Yes.
spirit animal kind of thing, isn't it? Well, all right then. As we may have hinted in the beginning, we are today reviewing or taking a look at what to look forward for in the month of May on all the major streaming platforms. There are some that we left behind because um, it's not like they have a lot of new things coming out. For instance, Disney Plus has nothing quite new coming out. Uh, but we could always talk about the things that are already streaming. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who now is Captain America,
Yes.
Falcon/Falcon, whatever. Which is a fantastic series. I'm having a lot of fun. Are you watching it, Jojo?
My husband really, really enjoys it. I have just not gotten around to watching it, but he really enjoys it. He says it's very, very, very good.
It is really, really good. You know, the way I can describe it is that if you compare it with WandaVision had a lot more conflict. It was more action packed. In a sense, WandaVision actually was a bit more tense for me, in the sense that you knew that Wanda got herself sort of like in trouble,
Yes.
and although you wanted to root for her, you knew that something wasn't quite right about what she was doing.
Yes. Yes.
And so you wanted to see the outcome of that, and you wanted to see somehow a redeeming act on the part of Wanda
Yeah.
at the end of the read. On Falcon and the Winter Soldier, on the other hand, there is a more, up-to-date story, especially with the GRC, the Global Relocation Committee and stuff, because it touches really on immigration and
It does.
xenophobia and a whole lot of part of it, isn't it?
It does. It really, really does.
So I'm excited for this show, but hey, this is not what we're talking about today, is it? So let's get down to business, Jojo, and the binge list. Let's review April.
Okay.
What were your favorite shows for April? What was the best thing that happened for you in April?
I think it was Concrete Cowboy.
Concrete Cowboy.
Yeah, I really think it was.
As much as I enjoyed Concrete Cowboy, as much as I enjoyed discussing it, to be honest with you, my favorite of, at least from Netflix, was The Serpent.
The Serpent was great. It really was. But just I felt like a hypocrite if I picked it since I couldn't finish it because it gave me nightmares.
Oh, yeah, right. That's true.
So I did enjoy it very much, and I thought it was fabulous. But I was like, if I pick that, I'm gonna be a hypocrite because I didn't finish it. So
Yeah, Jojo, you have to put on
have
your
to.
pants and go ahead and
I know.
finish it.
I know.
It's,
Got to get
it's
on my big girl pants.
big girl pants, whatever that means. Because I mean, if it's not your size, it's not gonna do any good, is it?
It'll be even worse.
So
if
the
it's-
whole big girl pants thing, is that what is it supposed to be, bigger than your size, or what? Or what exactly does it stand for?
I think it means grown up. Like you're all grown up
Uh,
now. You're not wearing diapers. Go do your thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yo, how could I have gotten it so wrong? You can really tell that English is my second language.
Well, there's all kinds of bizarre sayings in English that are like, what?
I know, man. Like I don't. Okay, that's cool. All right. So yeah, for me, it was The Serpent. For you, it was Concrete Cowboy. But I don't know if it's because of the largesse of Netflix, but every time I review what's coming on TV, I still find that Netflix is really hitting it out of the park. Even though they have a lot of fluffs, like a lot of shit that really, whatever. but their shows, their original shows are really, really, really um the right picks, I want to say.
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, you kind of it's difficult to go wrong with them because I mean they do have so much money that they're able to throw at projects, and the production values are great, and they seem to be getting a little more particular about who they're working with. So I think they're just improving, which is great. You don't always see that with a company a production company. Sometimes they start out really good and then just very slowly go downhill. But I feel like Netflix is getting better and better.
I think my problem with Netflix, on the other hand, is that the fact that they are picking stuff so indiscriminately and spending money to see, it's like, what do you say, throwing stuff at the wall to see what lands.
Yeah.
it they end up wasting money, and that, at the end of the day, we are the ones who end up paying for it, because every now and then they sneak another dollar to that.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? And
This
it's
is
never
true.
like, half a cent.
They could probably add a penny to everybody's account and be getting an extra $1 billion
Damn
every
straight.
every couple months.
But that's never the case, is it? It's
No, it's
always,
always a buck at least.
yeah, yeah. But I
And
think,
I think the
yeah, go
other
ahead.
complaint I have with Netflix is they seem to give up on shows really quickly, and
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah.
wish they didn't do that. Like, it's like they'll give them at max 2 seasons, and if it's not pulling whatever they algorithm they pull from, then they just delete it or cancel it. And there's a lot of shows that I wanted to see the end.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I think it also has a lot to do with the idea, with corporate greed, in the sense that everything has to lead to growth.
Yes.
You know, and I see that a lot. Like, I scour through a lot of podcast pages and Facebook groups, and I see this entire notion of how to grow your podcast. Growth, growth, growth. And it's growth, 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 and monetize, growth, growth. And really, maybe that's the case. Maybe we all ultimately would like to become the next Joe Rogan. But can we go back to the time where we would genuinely do some things because it was a hobby, because it
Right.
made us happy, because it was what got us, relieved us from the tensions of adulting, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I read something about, hustle and grind culture just really makes everything seem like you have to, you have to make everything. If you're not making money at it, then it's not worthwhile. And I don't agree with that because I don't agree with that at all. If something makes you happy and brings you joy, that's way more important than making money off of something.
That's all I'm saying. That
Yeah.
that is what I'm saying. And so, the whole idea of, I don't think you always have to be beating the competition in order to measure success.
I
And
agree.
I think the whole idea of Netflix has to be the number one, number one, number one, number one, number one, is bullshit.
Yeah.
How about, keeping something of quality, as you were saying? Like, there are shows that are never going to be massive success. They're never
Right.
going to be the favorite of billions of people around the world.
Right.
No. But there are people that really truly value those shows and watch them. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, because I have an axe to grind. Is that right? With
Yep.
HBO in that respect.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think you're right. Netflix be doing some weird shit. Also in April, and I don't, I'm not sure if you were into this, because this is more of a gamers kind of thing, and it brought me back to an era where you know if you were the only one who had a a Nintendo, a Sega Genesis on your block back in the Caribbean where I grew up, well, after 7 p.m. on any day until like 10 p.m. or until your mom and dad got mad and started throwing people out of your house, you had a lot of your friends over playing um Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was huge, huge. And by the way, Mortal Kombat was I think the first video game that caught the attention of governments. And whoever
Yes.
wanted to blame violence on video
Yeah.
game, they always talked about Mortal Kombat in that context,
Yes, they
right?
did.
Because of the fatalities. You remember that?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I remember people talking about you would pull the head out of somebody and you would get the skull and the little spine
Yes.
dangling, and
Yes.
that was just too much. There was a lot
Yes.
of pearl clutching over that.
Ooh, Jojo. And it was the most unrealistic fucking shit in
Oh,
comparison
I
to what
know.
my
Yeah.
son plays now. you know.
Yeah.
Eh, but you so red, you so blood, and it was like, whoa, video games are getting violent and shit, blah blah blah. And you know what? I'm not gonna say. Look, Mortal Kombat, this movie is not gonna get nominated for absolutely anything. Okay, it's not the greatest work of art of any kind, but I fucking loved it.
Good, good. I did not watch it because I didn't play the video game when I was a kid because I wasn't allowed to. But I'm sure my husband has watched it, and I don't know what he thinks of it. But I can see it being a lot of fun if you played the game, and like the nostalgia factor for one, and then just being fun. Yeah.
I think I'm almost replacing you for Jeffrey, man. Because like, what the hell? I
I'm
should be
talking
doing this podcast with Jeffrey, man.
I'm talking myself out of a job.
Jeffrey, come back. So what we should bring Jeffrey on one day.
We should. That would be fun.
Yeah, we should bring Jeffrey on one day, and we'll talk about all of that stuff that
I haven't watched.
we boys we boys do. Like, Jeffrey and I, we are Whovians.
Yes. Yes.
We have that in common, and then we're big fan of yours too. So there's that. So yeah, that unites us forever, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. So that was what we so there was this one movie that I've not feel tempted to watch. It is the whole Godzilla versus Kong thing.
Yeah.
Have you done any watching of that?
I haven't watched this. I've seen the old ones.
Yeah.
And so I guess that sort of means that I should have watched this one, but I just couldn't muster up any interest in it because I watched the old ones because to me it was partially funny, like the costumes and things like that. But
Yeah.
but the very first one is actually a genuine piece of cinematic art. But this one I was just like, I don't know. It just seemed like too much CGI to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so the two characters apart, like I could watch a Godzilla movie, I could watch a King Kong movie. In fact, I'm a big fan of King Kong.
Yes.
Who the hell came up with the versus thing? Like,
I
you know how like during the pandemic, the whole versus with musicians became a thing.
yeah.
Is that someone's idea of a versus between two CGI characters or something? Like,
Maybe so. Because I mean as far as I can remember, they don't come from the same quote unquote universe. Like
right?
they really should never cross paths. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna watch that. You can see it may be the greatest thing ever done, but I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this, Jojo. I am the weirdest fan of science fiction, in the sense that I will watch any science fiction that in my mind at least, is plausible.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I feel like it's too much bullshit, I'm completely turned off.
Yeah.
Right. And so there are hugely popular sci-fi things that I've never gotten into. I'm not gonna get into because I can't see a world where that's possible.
Yeah.
And I know that that world exists in my head, so it's not like it's actually possible at all. Otherwise, it wouldn't be science fiction, isn't it? But within that universe in my head, it has to be slightly plausible for me to say, yeah, I'm gonna watch this, and that's the problem here with Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Kong. Not my kind of shit.
Yeah. No, I agree. Not. No.
So let's then move on to what is in store for the month of May. And of course, we have to go with the gigantic ones. There is a lot of, movies from the early 2000s and, um, you know, from the past few years that are coming to Netflix. But I don't know of anybody that actually has Netflix to for the sake of watching movies that they haven't watched, that were like in cinema for the past 10 years. I think most people nowadays have Netflix because of the original content.
I,
Is that a fair assessment?
I agree. Yeah. I don't. I mean, I'm sure that for some folks it's a perk, to be able to have some of that stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't think that it's the main reason anybody gets Netflix.
And I think, for instance, like if I did not live in the US, and because now I think things travel a bit faster. Back when I lived in the Caribbean, and even the few years that I lived in Europe, things got released here in the US first, and then in some countries it would take about 8 weeks before the movies were available in cinema, especially in Latin America and the Caribbean. Now I think the time frame between release and distribution elsewhere is less. And sometimes those releases happen outside of the United States before they happen
Yeah.
in the US. And so there was an era where I would have Netflix just for the sake of watching movies that I haven't gotten any that I have not had access to. Whether because like there was a time where I didn't go to cinema at all because I worked in the tourism industry. When you work in a resort, you just go in and work until the day you're off, and then you go home and all you do is sleep all day because you ain't got time for anything else.
Hmm.
So going to cinema for me, it was always catching stuff on DVD, and sometimes DVDs would come 6 months later, and
Right.
by that time, it would have been on Netflix. But I don't think that's the case right now, is it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, sometimes they're even releasing things simultaneously. I know there was a movie recently that was released simultaneously, like across the whole
Yeah.
distribution area of the studio.
Yes, yes. And I think the pandemic has created also a convergence of possibilities that I don't know if it's going to be easy to get rid of.
I agree with that. I think it changed a lot of things fundamentally.
Yeah.
And I don't, it may have been something that was coming, but I think it sped up the process quite a bit. I think that, it, it may have eventually happened, but I think the pandemic just kind of pushed it along into that direction.
And you had a lot of the big shot directors, especially the old school ones, that were very critical of streaming services and movies being released on streaming services and stuff. And I feel like, because money talks, the streaming services, the streaming platforms may have gotten to their prices. And now they're all for it because, Spielberg and Marty, Scorsese, all of these huge directors who were like, full blown Hollywood royalties, they're not so not keen about streaming service anymore, are they?
Yeah, exactly. I think they've lost some of their snobbiness.
Yeah, yeah, the snappiness. Yo, so in Netflix, we are strictly going to talk about what some of their original stuff. And the first thing we're going to see, for instance, we're going to talk about the stuff that we know that are coming in the month of May, but haven't gotten a date yet. And this is something that I've been waiting for a lot. For me, one of the best series, regardless of what you think of Aziz Ansari, one of the best Netflix original series out there is Master of None. And I think the last season of Master of None was about 3 or 4 years ago. And now, in this month of May, we are going to finally get season 3 of Master of None. Have you watched Master of None? Are you fun?
I have not watched Master of None. It's one of those that was on my list, and then I think when it kind of stopped for a couple years, I completely forgot it existed. But I'm glad it's coming back, and we'll have time. I'll have time to get it watched before the next season comes. Oh, the last season, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 2 seasons as of now, so you could possibly, and I think they're like 8 episodes each. But Lena White created this beautiful, well, Aziz Ansari and Lena White have this beautiful partnership in writing, in uh, creative abilities, and they put on an absolutely fantastic little show. And I think I've told you before, we've talked about Aziz on this show, where like I wouldn't sit and watch Aziz Ansari stand up show. I don't feel like he is a funny stand up comedian, but I love him as an actor. I love him. I love him. And there are qualities about Aziz that I enjoy, that I'm a big fan of, is because Aziz took a lot of rejection. It took him a long time to get noticed by Hollywood because he refused to play the Indian with the accent guy. And every time he went to an audition and they told him, but we want an accent, he'd be like, no, you'll get quite a few, you know, South Asians to do that for you. But that's not my thing. I'm not going to do it. And I agree with that. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Because he grew up in, I believe, South Carolina, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
South
So
Carolinian.
one of my favorite bits of a sketch show or a comedy show, I guess it's just part of one of his stand-up shows, is where he talks about he didn't really know what bullying was, because there was a teacher in his class in South Carolina, because there was a little kid next to him making fun of him because he was brown.
Yeah.
And that teacher walked up to the bully and said, "I will end you." And he said everybody left him alone after that. So he really had no idea that there was anything like, being. So I think of that a lot of, "I will end
I
you."
will end you. Look, man, there is nothing more powerful than a Southern liberal. But yeah, I'm so glad that there's this ability in Hollywood to turn everything with an accent into a caricature.
Mhm,
Every
mhm.
And that persists today, as woke as they would have you believe that Hollywood is. That persists today.
It does.
And you know, somebody has to put a stop to it. And I'm glad that Aziz did that.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that we're gonna get a third season of Master of None, and this time, 4 years later, Aziz Ansari returns as Dev, and this time he's in London. So the last episode, he was in Italy, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And this time in London, I can only imagine how good it's going to be. So that's to be determined. We don't know when that's gonna come. So I suppose it probably is gonna be towards the end of May, and
Probably.
there should be an upcoming trailer soon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They'll probably do a trailer maybe this first week of May and then
Yeah,
maybe roll it out at towards the end.
yeah. And so there's this thing called Racket Boys. It's an original series. It's a K drama about a middle school badminton. And you know why I'm not willing to badmouth this one? Badminton, badmouth. Yeah. That's right. The reason I'm not willing to say anything disparaging about a series about a badminton, high school badminton team is because if I had read the synopsis to the Queen's Gambit,
That's
and
true.
it was, I knew that it was about some orphan girl who is dope at playing chess, I would be like, I'm never watching this shit.
Exactly.
I'm
Very true.
serious.
Very, very true. Yeah.
So this might be the one that put all of us onto, yo, badminton is exciting, son.
We're all going to be buying shuttlecocks and all the little things. Yeah, be amazing.
Mm. So yes, I'm just going to. I'll take a look at least at the first episode and see what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what do you have next, Jojo, on your list?
So on May the 5th, this one we have a release date for. We've got the Sons of Sam, which is the Son of Sam: Descent into Darkness, which is going to be on Netflix, and it's a crime docuseries that follows Maury Terry's efforts into finding a killer.
Okay. I've partially heard about the whole Son of Sam thing, and I know that there are some documentaries about out there, but it seems more like, was this guy like, did he have his own little cult going on, the Son of Sam?
I believe so. I don't know a huge amount about the Son of Sam. I do know that I do believe he had, and I think may still have a little cult of personality around him. I know when he was in prison, he was very popular. So yeah, and I know that like the whole city was essentially on lockdown when he was killing people. So he had the power of terrorizing a whole city, which is strangely impressive, I guess would be the way to put it.
Right. Strangely impressive, yeah. All right. I don't know, like this might be something I watch. This might be something I don't even like. If it's, I'm not excited about it, but all I can say is that if you are into, some of the, because this is part of history and
Yeah.
it's um relatively recent, right?
Yes.
I think this was like, well, was that late
70s,
70s,
late 70s, early 80s, I believe.
early 80s.
Yeah.
So you may watch that if you want, and I think it's worth pointing out that it's there.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Will you watch it? Will you watch it, Jojo?
I'll probably give it a try because I love documentaries. So I'll probably give the first since this is a docu-series, I'll probably give the first episode a try and see what I think.
All right. Well,
Because sometimes they're just too sensationalized, like they're just,
yeah.
even though they're supposed to be a documentary, it's just like, I don't know, it's just too much. I just like the facts and what actually happened.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you take a look at it and you feel like it's something we should talk about, definitely let's do it. You know what I mean?
Sounds good.
but I ain't gonna be the first one to watch it because no,
I understand.
I'm huge with documentaries, but that's probably not gonna be my thing this time.
I completely understand.
So that's on May 5th. May 7th, there's a little show that's coming that I am actually really looking forward to watching at least one episode, but I think I'm gonna watch this whole thing. I hope it's not something similar to the Umbrella Academy.
Yes, that's my concern with it too, because I also am excited about what you're talking about. And I'm hoping that it's good because I watched there is a trailer for this one,
Yeah.
and it made me cringe just a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I think every trailer I've watched for like the past 6 months or so has made me cringe. So I'm just gonna forget I watched the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer too, and I don't know what part of it was cringy for you, but there was a part that was cringy for me. Is the dude with the gray hair that dresses in white? His
Yes.
balls are too protruding out of his. Like, what's wrong with this dude's balls, dude? Like, what? They just put a balloon there. I was like, no, this is. No. I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah, wait, nobody needs
So,
to see that.
so what was your cringy part of it for you?
I just kind of feel like it was sort of the whole vibe of it going through made it feel like, I don't know, like youngsters against oldsters or something like that. Just felt weird to me.
I think you can expect some weirdness given the fact that it's a Mark Millar
True.
production, if you will, like
True.
from the mind of Mark Millar. It's a dude that wrote us super bad and shit,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I've enjoyed his other stuff. So like I said, I think the trailer just kind of put me off on the wrong foot with it. But I am excited to see this.
Well, lately we've been having quite a conversation about the work of trailers that are like mostly a disservice to the entire content of what they're supposed to be about. So, it makes sense, isn't it?
Yeah. I sort of think making trailers is a lost art. I don't think we ever said the name of what we're talking about, though.
Oh, please.
Jupiter's Legacy.
Jupiter's Legacy, of course. Yes, that is true. We tend to do that, Terry. Like
We do some of that, yeah.
sometimes we'll be like 12 minutes into the show and it's like, we're talking about a show that like, what do you think about it, Jojo? And blah, blah, blah. Like, it's been 12 minutes. We haven't said the name of the damn show.
People are like, sounds good. Would you ever tell me the title?
I want to watch it too, man. That's awesome. Yeah, so Jupiter's Legacy is coming on May 7th on the Netflix, right?
Yes.
And whatever, dude. Like I'm up for it. So would you like to read the synopsis for people?
The synopsis, yes. So it's follows the story of the world's first superheroes who received their powers in the 1930s. In the present day, they are the revered Elder Guard, but their superpowered children struggle to live up to the legendary feats of their parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who doesn't?
So now I'm wondering, since is this supposed to be like a greatest generation slash boomer comparison?
That's a good way to put it, isn't it? But yeah, I guess. I mean, if they received their powers in the 1930s, obviously they're like in their 80s right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And their children are the younger generation in their 30s and 40s. In the 40s, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
Let's
50s. Well, we'll see.
let's wait for this fucking thing because there might be a generational gap there that we don't understand. Because
that's true.
Unless they decided we're gonna have children after we retired from this shit. We're like early 60s and shit. So our kids are teenagers when we are 80. That's cool. Maybe, after all the superheroes and shit. So
that's right. They're superheroes. So who knows? They might be immortal.
Immortal. Yeah. Right. And so May 14th, I'm very excited about this, and I wasn't before until I saw the trailer. Speaking about trailer, I
Yes,
think the trailer for this one did quite the good job.
I agree.
But also, we know we slightly have a background of it because it is coming from a book made into a movie,
Yes.
right? So we're talking about The Woman in the Window. Once again, Amy Adams
Yes.
has managed to be creepy. All she has to do is not put makeup on and let her hair down, and she's like slightly creepy.
Yeah. She's a little bit demented,
Yeah, dude.
like a
Like,
little
cause
bit crazy-eyed.
I mean, even as Lois Lane on the Zack Snyder thing, she was kind of creeping the fuck out of me because she was like saddened for the entire thing and like
Yeah.
depressed and walking around like crying and shit. And even when Superman came back, she was like, "Let's go home, nigga." Like, what are you not happy now? Like, whatever, dude. Yeah. So I don't know. So what do you think of this one, Jojo?
I'm excited for this one. I did enjoy the book. I did read the book. I enjoyed the book. I thought the trailer was great. So I will certainly give this one a try. You know how they always say the book is better than the movie, but sometimes it's not always the case. So yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, well, I will not be coming from the, you know, that point of view of, I read the book because you fancy and shit, you be reading books and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like the average German reads 8 books a year. Jojo reads 13. Whatever, dude. You're in German. If it weren't for the grace of God, you'd be some French Canadian woman somewhere.
This is true. This is true. I'd be having that accent we talked about in The Serpent.
So yeah, I won't be coming from that perspective, but I am absolutely interested in this one. So, the woman in the window. Plus, it's about agoraphobia, and this is one of my, one of the subjects that I'm really, really interested. I've always been interested in because I think agoraphobic is like an introvert on steroid.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and I hope the movie handles it as deftly as the book did, because everything I read about the book said that the depiction of the particular kind of agoraphobia she has is like on point. Like it's not sensationalized or radicalized or anything like that. So I hope the movie respects that too.
Right, because hers is based on is post-traumatic stress,
Yes.
which is not always the case with agoraphobia.
Yes.
Uh, like I said, agoraphobia, in its most basic sense, is just I can't handle being around people, and you know, going outside and the notion that someone is gonna say, "Hey, how you doing?" to me is terrifying. So fuck off. I'll just stay home. you know. But in this particular case, that it is about something that happened, and like everything out there is terrifying because of what happened to me. Is absolutely riveting, and yeah, as you said, to your point, hopefully they treat it as dignifyingly as the book puts it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jojo, we're good, eh? What's the next one, Jojo?
So we've got May 21st, Army of the Dead. And that's Zack Snyder's zombie heist thriller starring Dave Bautista, Ella Purnell, and Omari Hardwick.
Yo, I again, the trailer for this one was dope. And here's the crazy thing: the moment I read Army of Dead, I was like, "Oh, that's another Walking Dead shit," and I never got into the show, and I'll never get into it. Like, and my thing with zombie and shit,
Yes.
because I'm Haitian, you know, Haitians, we know shit about zombie that none of Hollywood has never gotten right. So I'm a bit pissed off at Hollywood for the way they've sensationalized the entire idea of zombie and zombification and shit, you know, with the brain and the whole thing. But it was a bit of a put off for me. But one, I saw the name of Zack Snyder, and two, I like Dave Bautista.
I do too. I do too. I feel like everything he's in, he just makes better.
Do you know what? I actually read an article about Dave Bautista this week where he you could see it as an olive branch or you could see it as a dig, but he specifically compared himself, and not because he wanted to, but he just wanted to create the differentiation between him and The Rock, because people keep comparing the two
Yeah.
in terms of like, oh, this guy was a wrestler and then he went into acting. Dave Bautista says that he's not. The difference between him and The Rock is that The Rock went into acting and has never taken any risk other than doing, you know, the banging and breaking shit and like brute force type of thing. You know, I'm a strong man, you know, action movies is my shit. But Dave Bautista says, I'm actually interested in acting. And so I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be that guy, the brute force guy, the really strong guy. And I'm hoping to get some roles that will showcase that I actually like acting and I can act, you know. And it's like more power to Dwayne Johnson for doing what he does, because you know that shit pays the bill, and he is the most popular former wrestler turned into actor dude out there,
Yeah.
you know, and he keeps on adding to it, right?
Yes.
But he's like, yeah, I got into this because I'm a guy who went into wrestling, even though I always wanted to be an actor and now have a chance to do so. So I don't want to be that guy, you know.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, because it's a I'm not saying that Dwayne The Rock Johnson did the wrong thing, but I'm just saying that it was the easiest thing to do, to be honest, to go
Yeah.
into acting and using that element of I can throw people around and kick ass and break walls and shit, and just be that guy.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
kind of like he got typecast and was okay with it. Like you said, Dave Bautista said, it pays the bills. So, you know, why
Yeah.
not? You know, I just show up and do my thing. And but yeah, I do like Bautista, and I've always felt like he had, because I wasn't aware that had wanted to be an actor. So I think that I always thought he brought a lot of nuance to his roles, especially
Yeah.
for someone that I just assumed was only ever a wrestler. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've always enjoyed his work.
Yeah, and I don't know a lot about Ella Purnell. Don't go after me for that, everybody. But I know Omari Hardwick because you know he's just coming up from playing one of the most controversial characters in any, you know, black based huge TV show, which was Power. You know, he was, what's her name, St. Patrick. um I can't remember the first name. His first name, his last name was St. Patrick, and the character was beloved by some. Well, it was Ghost. That's the name of that was the nickname of the show. He was mainly known as Ghost. The character was beloved by some, hated by others, and the show was hugely popular with a really broad audience, even though it was essentially a black show. You know, it was a very diverse show. There were characters of all background there, but you know, it was a show that was produced by Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, and this show went on, I think, for about 8 seasons on Stars, and there isn't even some spin-offs of it. And Omari Hardwick was absolutely fantastic. I think he got a couple of nominations from it too, and he's a part of this crew here. So I'm excited to see him now on this. On So Army of the Dead comes out on Netflix May 21st. Boom. On May 28th, we have the final season or the second half of the last season of Lucifer. And I'm looking forward to it because when season 5A came out, I thought that was it. But clearly, based on the last episode, I could tell that that wasn't it. I mean, I think there's no way it just ended like this because there was no resolution to it.
Mhm.
And then I realized, oh, they just decided to release the season 5 in 2 batches. I think it was only 6 episodes the first time.
I think so
So
too. Yeah. Kind of like they did with Lupin.
yeah, yeah. So that's exciting. I can't wait, and I'm kind of sad that that's going to be it for it.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause it was a really, really good show. Continues to be a good show. So
Yeah, the cast in this is absolutely beautiful. I love everybody in this show.
yeah.
And then finally for Netflix, we're gonna have on the same day the Kaminsky Method season 3, and it's also the final season for the Kaminsky Method. So this is a show that, if you remember, was off of our radar for a long time,
It was.
and we decided one time to just give it a go because I remember telling you I see Michael Douglas being nominated every time for something, and it's the Kaminsky Method. What the hell is this all about? So why don't we give it a watch? And you and I watched it, and he was like, "Yo, this is good. We should talk about it, isn't it?"
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was really, really good. It was very funny, and I liked Michael Douglas in it, and yeah, so
yeah. I'm looking forward to watching that. So that's what we are excited for on Netflix, and I think the largest list was Netflix. So we're gonna move on to Hulu, Amazon, HBO Max. So in Hulu, Hulu was very interesting in April, but I don't know. I don't know that's going to be the same case for May. But again, Hulu's forte is not necessarily original programming, is it?
no, it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be more like I don't know, sports either or like nostalgia shows like Golden Girls and that kind of thing.
So for the month of May, Hulu has the third and final season of A.D. Bryant's comedy series Shrill. That's coming out on May 7th. And this time, Annie is newly single and she is on the dating scene. I remember that we did we did an episode about Shrill, and it is till today one of our most popular episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I really enjoyed the first season, and I feel like it's worth watching for the pool scene alone. Just for the I hate the word empowerment, but for the empowerment of women and getting to see people on television that you wouldn't quote unquote normally see. So I think it was a great show and groundbreaking in many respects. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how it all ends.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it too because I didn't catch season 2 yet, so I can just binge watch that and then go on to move on to the next one.
Yes.
So, what is next on Hulu, Jojo?
So we have a six-part FX docuseries since Hulu they get FX the next day, I believe. but it's Pride, and it's going to be on May 15th, and it's about the decades-long struggle for LGBTQ civil rights. And that's a long and difficult history, and
Yes.
something I think all of us need to learn more about, because whether you think it does or not, it affects us all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody's rights is human rights, right? LGBTQ rights, women's rights, you know, minorities' rights, people of color's rights. All of that is human rights, and
Yes.
it cannot be excluded. And I think it is important. We always talk about like it's important for the new generation to know the history of blah blah blah. I think it's important for us to remember that even people who are contemporaneously living through history happening sometimes have no idea what's happening around them.
True.
And a lot of people become aware of things that happened while they were alive, during their times, thanks to documentaries and movies like these.
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
it's not always for the newest generation to know, it's also to inform the current generation. Look, this shit happened under your nose,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but
Exactly.
you were too busy, I don't know, fucking thinking about the next iPhone and shit, that
Yeah.
you couldn't see it happening.
Yeah.
So here's what happened, right?
Yep. That's it exactly.
I mean, there are people who still don't understand, for instance, the reason why all of these new um, voting rights, anti-voting rights laws are being, are happening around the country, right? It's. I'm not gonna get too much into politics, but you have to understand we have had one of the most effective elections in our lifetime, um, during a global pandemic and a crisis, once in a century crisis. And in most other countries, the elections would have been suspended. The country, in terms of politics, in terms of elections, could have descended into chaos.
Yeah.
But yet we managed to pull it off. We managed not only to pull it off, but on the day that a president was supposed to be inaugurated, he got inaugurated, despite all of the shenanigans that the other guy tried to pull off. Yet now there are legislatures around the country, state legislatures around the country, that know that nobody believes other than themselves that no such irregularities happened. But they're creating laws to make it more difficult for people to vote. So you have to understand these things are happening under your nose.
Yep.
And if when people take to the streets, all you see is riots and this and that, and you think people take to the street only with one topic in mind, with only racial injustice and shit, you don't know what's happening around you. So that's why documentaries are important, because it's not only for the newest generation. You probably don't know about Stonewall and never heard about Stonewall, and your grandparents never heard about Stonewall. So there's a lot to learn of the things that are happening around us under our noses. So yeah, I went a bit preachy here, so sorry.
That's quite all right.
You-
It's 100% true though, because if you're in the middle of something, sometimes you miss stuff that happens because you're getting so much information at you at once. That
yeah,
happens. And sometimes, as you said, people's minds are filled with other things and they just aren't paying attention to what's going on. So it's good to have an amalgamation, a gathering of all the information together, so you can distill down and understand what was actually going on in those times when either you couldn't get all the information or you just were not in the place where you could understand or comprehend it.
I'm with you. You see, that's what JoJo does. She puts it in better um, frame of of language than I do because I be throwing shit and fucking things like that. So my bad. Yeah. Yeah, we were like, y'all curse a lot. No, don't say y'all. Graham curses a lot. Jojo is the refined language lady over here, man. Amalgamation and shit, Talking about amalgamation. All right, well, so that was Hulu. That was Hulu. Amazon, on the other hand, they're not going with a lot of original programming, but they always do this thing where if they put on 2 shows for that month, original shows, it's gonna be a festival of big stars and really heavy shit.
Yes.
So they are coming out on May 14th with Barry Jenkins's highly anticipated limited series, The Underground Railroad. And I'm looking forward to this one for 2 reasons because I think um, American history has sort of like made the Underground Railroad sound more like a miraculous, magical thing that happened. And Harriet Tubman is the superhero of it, and what you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it almost kids or anyone learning history doesn't know what people were escaping from and what the consequences for escaping were.
Yes.
Because it was like, yo, just make it under that tree, make a left and make a right. Harriet's gonna be waiting for you there. Boom, jump on the train and boom, you're free. You're going to Canada and shit. No. I'm that's why I'm looking forward to this show because if it stays faithful to the story, then there's a lot of history that people will learn about that, never occurred to us. Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for myself as a kid, when I first heard about the Underground Railroad, what I had in my head was a literal underground railroad, like people.
Yeah.
But like people would go under the ground, and there was like a train there waiting for them, and that was the way they escaped. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Yo, that's so cool.
But then, I mean, my father was like, no.
And of course, your dad would be the one like, let me snap you out of this one.
Yeah, no. This here's some stuff you need to read. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be great to see it as a limited series.
Definitely. And then I think the next big thing coming on May 21st is a new anthology limited series called Solos. And I saw a trailer of it. Jojo, have you seen it?
I have not seen the trailer for this one.
Like, here's the crazy thing. Solos is going to be amazing, and the only thing I can compare it to, and it's not because they are the same thing, but it's sort of like the same playbook, is either Modern Love or Small Axe. They're not the same things, but it's like a bunch of movies featuring a bunch of people that you'll be like, whoa, really? You know what I mean?
That's what I was wondering, if it was going to be, just from reading the synopsis of it. I was like, I was thinking Modern Love is what I was thinking of, but yeah, Small Axe too. So
yes. So I'm looking forward to it, but let's tell folks who's gonna be in it.
Morgan Freeman, Anne Hathaway, Anthony Mackie, and more.
I like more. More. Out of all these people, Moore
Yeah.
to me is the most impressive one. How
Moore
did they
is
manage
very-
to get more?
I
don't know, dude.
don't know how they got more. I mean, it must have been like Mega bucks.
Yeah, y'all know we're playing now, right? Okay.
I hope
I'm
so.
not. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying we're just playing. So don't be right. So let's move on to HBO Max, Jojo. HBO Max for the month of May.
So
What do we have?
the first one we've got on the list is Those Who Wish Me Dead with Angelina Jolie. And I have seen the trailer for this one.
Have you? I haven't.
I have seen the trailer for this one, and the trailer is good, and it looks good, but and this is terrible. So, and I fully admit this, and I
Oh
know
boy,
it's terrible, but
what's she gonna say?
I can't see Angelina Jolie in this role of this character.
What is it about?
It From the trailer, it is about a woman firefighter who she does the fire watches in the towers,
Yeah.
and there is someone after a man and his child. The man gets killed. The child manages to make it up to the fire tower to her, and it's about her protecting this child.
Okay.
And in the trailer, Angelina Jolie, I don't know if she's unwell, but it looks so fragile that I'm like, I don't know how she would make it up 3 stairs, let alone all the way up to the tippy top of a fire tower. I genuinely don't. Because I mean, firefighters, male or female, whatever, they have a lot of gear they have to carry. They have to be very strong, and they're typically sort of hefty folks.
Yeah.
And I know that that's terrible, but I just she looks very fragile, and the plastic surgery is showing very much in this, and I don't know if that's on purpose, if she was supposed to have been hurt in a fire or something. I don't know. I agree. I know that everything I'm saying is absolutely awful, but I'm just having trouble seeing her in this role.
But I mean, I'm my recollection of her, at least on action movies, that she's quite believable
That's
in
been
terms of
my
like ass kicking and shit. Like for a pretty girl or whatever, for a sex symbol, she can kick some ass, isn't she?
I agree with that 100%. It's just in this trailer, she looks unwell. She
Too
looks
frail.
She looks ill, and I don't know. I don't know that maybe that's part of the character. They don't address that in the trailer. Maybe she is ill, but it just the way it's presented in the trailer, I'm like, no, she needs to be in bed with tea.
I have to say though, I'm really glad that to see her, in front of the camera for a long time, because she had gotten more into the directing role.
Yes.
And I read an article where she said, my family situation has changed, so I've had to go back into acting. And originally, my mind immediately translated that into financial issues, and that's not what she was talking about. It was more like, when you're a director, you get on the scene before all the actors, and you're the last one to leave. And even after the movie is filmed, you're still involved around doing stuff. Whereas as an actor, be here at some time, and then when we're done, we're done. You probably have to do a bit of a, promo tour or whatever, but like you don't have to be involved that heavily. So that's what she was talking about, and she was talking about spending more time with her family because of all that has gone on with her and Brad in custody of the kids.
Yes.
And so it took some reading of the article to understand what was going on here. But I don't know. I don't know if I actually like her better as a director than an actress or vice versa. But all I'm saying is that I'm looking forward to seeing her actually doing the acting.
Yeah, I would like to see it too. I would like to get your opinion on the trailer. Honestly, I'd like to for you at some point to watch the trailer and see what you think.
I don't know why I didn't get to watch the trailer, but I'm gonna have to go in and take a look now, because you'll be doing stuff, Jojo.
I'm not trying to be cruel or ableist or anything at all like that. I'm not. It's just
No, I
it
got you,
just
Judge.
it struck me.
I got you. Like, I mean, so here's the thing. As much as I love Angelina Jolie, there's a lot of actors and singers and stuff. Like, as soon as I see them, my immediate reaction is, somebody should offer them a sandwich or a piece of fried chicken. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not shaming, body shaming anybody. I'm just saying that at some point, eat a snack or something, eat a burger. I'm just, just
Yeah, and
follow through.
yeah, and for me, again, I know I sound terrible. I just genuinely felt concerned for her, like in the sense of not even because she's so slender, but she just, to me, she looked ill.
Oh yeah, no, 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 no. But she does, like, her, much like her and Celine Dion and others. Like, they need to have a double cheeseburger with some fries and bacon, like bacon cheeseburger. Like, I'm not, I don't care. You
And a
can go back
milkshake.
to being a vegan after that. That's cool. I'm just saying that once in a while, once every 18 years, have a
Yeah,
fucking burger and put them at least 1 pound more,
yeah,
because we worried about y'all.
yeah,
Just saying.
yeah. We do want you to be healthy.
We just, yeah, that's it. So for me on HBO Max, we have In Treatment, and do you remember I've lamented the fact that this show ended just like boom.
Yes.
And I think it was a little more than 10 years ago that HBO decided, yeah, we're done with this show after 3 seasons. And this is literally one of the best shows that has ever been on HBO. And but I have to say that back then, people's understanding of mental health, I don't know that people were as sensible to the idea of mental health and mental health crisis, as conscious of it as we are now. It was harder for people to admit having a mental health, but it was harder for people, I think, to empathize with
Yes.
folks dealing with mental health. And it's still the case. There are a lot of
Yes.
people, I know people who, as soon as they hear mental health, their reaction is so visceral, it almost feels like they're thinking people have mental health because they want to, because they bring it upon themselves, because they can't deal with shit.
Yes.
And so I think that was the case with In Treatment. And I remember reading some reviews on In Treatment, by what TV watchers, not necessarily by professional reviewers, was like, this show is painfully boring. Oh my god, what's wrong with these people? And so HBO took the bait and canceled the show. But I remember telling you that Gabriel Byrne was, the main guy there, but Diane Wiest, whom we talked about not too long ago when we did our episode about I Carry Lot, she was on it too, and I thought she was absolutely brilliant. Blair Underwood also had an absolutely fantastic role in there too. So now they're bringing the show back for a fourth season after a bit more than 10 or 12 years, but the main psychoanalyst here is going to be Uzo Aduba. And Uzo Aduba is, if you're not familiar with the name, you will know who I'm talking about. Uzo Aduba is Suzanne Crazy Eyes from Orange is the New Black. She is an absolutely marvelous actor, and I'm so looking forward to see her on this one. So, what do you think of this, Judge?
I'm all for anything that helps people understand mental health and mental illness, because even though we have come a ways, there's still a very long and bumpy road ahead, in terms of people's empathy and understanding and um, non-visceral reactions about mental health, and thinking that it's people's fault because it is a disease, just like people who have diabetes or any other thing that you can think of. And, some people can control it with medication, some people can't. Some people can control it with exercise and diet, some people can't. So, anything that shines a light on mental illness and mental health is brilliant, as long as it is a compassionate light and a light that makes people understand what it's like to have depression or any other form of mental illness.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if HBO and if they don't, they possibly will bring back all of these the first three seasons. And I don't know if you ever watched In Treatment, but
No, I never
um,
did.
I think you would like it. Like I said, I saw it for the first time in and I thought it was brilliant. And I remember binge watching the show. And when I got to the last episode of the third season, I actually realized that the show had been canceled. And I was gutted. I was proper gutted because I'm like, how could you cancel this show? And we know that it's to be expected of, I don't know, Netflix and shit, but HBO tend to be a bit more lenient with these things. So for me, it was a bad punch in the stomach. But I'm like overjoyed now that it's coming back. Uh, so the next one is this show I'm looking forward to, but I don't know I don't know how I'm gonna take it. It's called That Damn Michael Shea. You almost know Michael Shea basically when Saturday Night Live are on. By the next day, there is a hashtag Fire Michael Shea going on Twitter because on Weekend Update he'll say something that will rub people the wrong way. And he only has one appearance on Saturday Night Live. Typically, it's Weekend Update that because he's the co-head writer, him and what's his name, Colin Jost. So that's all they do. You know, but Michael Shea always end up rubbing people the wrong way because he will write something and say something about any subject that will create controversy. So he now has his own show on HBO called That Damn Michael J. And y'all better, hold on to your seats. That's all I'm saying. Uh, so I saw an interview he had with Jimmy Fallon sometime last week, right? And he was talking about how he thought the whole idea of Scarlett Johansson marrying Colin Jost was a joke. Like, it's like, I went to the wedding and shit, but I still don't believe that shit. I still think it's a damn prank. He said, it was like, are you sure? He said he took a bunch of pictures of The Rock with him and he wanted to show them to Scarlett. Like, this guy should be available. You're Scarlett Johansson. You sure you want?
Oh,
It's
that's
just
good.
funny.
That's good.
So some of the people on Saturday Night Live, like Cecily Strong, make some appearances there. And if you haven't watched, you haven't seen the trailer, go ahead and take a look at it. Because I don't want y'all to be surprised. I don't want you to be like, okay, I'm going to watch this because Graham and Jocelyn said that, talked about it, and because you might not like it, man. I'm serious. This is Michael Shea we're talking about. This guy is controversial, and he doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't. Finally, what do we have on here?
Looks like we have Hacks. Jean Smart plays a legendary Las Vegas comedian who hires a young comedy writer in an attempt to resuscitate her career. So I've always liked Jean Smart. So, and I don't think she's been in anything in a while, or if she has, I missed it. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, she actually has been on a couple of things. She was on that show with Regina King on HBO, Watchmen.
Oh,
She
yes,
was
that
on
was
Watchmen.
okay. That's
Yeah,
right. She was. I remember. Yeah, that's right.
but I'm glad that they did a very long trailer for this one. It's almost as a short film, if you will. It went on for a little more than 3 minutes, and it gives you an idea of what this show is going to be all about. And I'm really excited after watching the trailer. I think it's going to be one of those. It might go on for a few years because there's quite a bit to pick up from there. And Jean Smart and the young lady who plays her head writer, her writer or whatever, Hannah Einbinder, eh, they have a weird ass chemistry that is so good. I'm looking forward to see them. I'm looking forward to this show. So, did we say when the show premieres?
I just have May. I don't have a date.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have HBO Max, I don't know what to tell you, man. Because HBO Max is not bad, you know, especially knowing that simultaneous movies in cinema are being played on HBO Max.
Yes.
So get it because this show is going to be very good.
Yes.
That's what I can say. I
Yes.
watch the trailer. Go on YouTube and watch the trailer. I think maybe we should also include some of the trailers in the show notes
It's a good idea.
for this.
It's a good idea.
We'll include links for the YouTube trailers in the show notes for the show, so that you can have a look of what we're talking about and crack on. You know. So, Jojo, what are you looking forward? What are your hopes for the month of May in streaming? Do you think it's going to be a good one? Do you think we're going to be coming back and talking about these shows?
I think so. I think there's some good stuff in there that we can talk about. I'm very interested in the anthology series on Amazon. That sounds like it could
Solos.
Yeah, that sounds like it could be very, very good. And of course, lots of good stuff on Netflix.
Yeah. So for me, it's on Netflix. It's going to be um Master of None. That's the one number one I'm looking forward to. Jupiter's Legacy is something that I may watch. Master of None, Army of the Dead, and Lucifer. Those are my three from Netflix. On Hulu, I'm very much looking forward to watching that six-part uh, docuseries Pride,
Yes.
because I think it's going to be interesting. On Amazon, I'm looking forward to the Underground Railroad and Solos. And on HBO Max, I'm looking forward to In Treatment, that then Michael Shea show, and Hacks. Of course, those who wish me dead, I'll watch because, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
To scream at the TV that Angelina Jolie should eat a burger. So, what are your picks in here?
Let's see. So I think Solo uh and the Underground Railroad, and I think for Netflix, um Jupiter's Legacy, and I kind of want to see Master of None because I didn't see the first two seasons. So you've talked it up. You've gotten me excited about it. So yeah.
Sweet. I will end you.
I will end you. Must have worked, or maybe she ended him. I don't know.
That's funny stuff, man. That's funny stuff. Well, like, if you were that teacher who presumably is still alive, you must feel very proud of yourself that people know this story, because we're talking about Deep South here,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
although there is a legacy of Indian immigrants and Syrian immigrants actually in South Carolina, I still remember when Nikki Haley, who most people don't know that she is of Indian descent, uh, um, was running for governor in South Carolina. And she was running actually in the primary, the GOP primary for governor. And some other candidate from the GOP batch referred to her as a raghead. And it was live. It wasn't, it wasn't like something he said behind closed doors or whatever. She's like, we're not going to elect a raghead.
Wow.
you
I
know.
don't know why I'm shocked. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am.
Yeah. So we're talking about Deep South. And of course, with that, I'm not saying that only in the South there's racism.
Sure.
Racism is alive and well every fucking where, despite
Absolutely.
what the GOP may have forced or fed their only black senator from South Carolina to go on TV and say that there is no racism in America. But just so you know, it's good that at least I have a very recent anecdote to tell you about this, while the senator, the only one black senator for the GOP who is from South Carolina, told you this weekend as his rebuke or his rebuttal of President Biden's address, joint session. So yeah, I know, a bit tangential, as Jojo would say, but it's just a thing to kind of think about. Anyway, I think it's time for us to kind of give it a go now, Jojo. We out, huh? I'd like to invite you all to follow us on social media. You will find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also on Pinterest. If you watch this live on YouTube, smash that like button, and and also hit the little bell so that you can you know when we're live. But make a comment as you please, and you can follow me on the Instagram as Mr. Puzzetta. That's MRPUZZETTA, MRPUZZETTA. Jojo, last words.
Howdy, bye.
We'll see you later, folks. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Kickin and Streamin podcast. If you found value in our content, please subscribe and share. We would also be delighted to hear what you think of this podcast. So please rate us by writing a quick review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all major social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Join the conversation happening today on our Facebook group.